I think it's safe to say that Power Rangers was one of my favourite shows growing up. Yeah, a series all about a group of people who can morph into armoured superheroes and fight huge monsters with a giant robot. I can see why it had my face pressed up against the TV screen. But by the time I started watching Power Rangers in the early 2000s, the franchise had already long since established itself. It started in 1993 under the name Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, with the premise of 5 teenagers being recruited by a mystical being known as Zordon to become a superhuman fighting force and protect the city of Angel Grove from an evil space witch called Rita Repulsa, who would send out a monster to attack them in every episode. Simple, right? It's pretty common knowledge now, but most of the actual fighting footage from the show was taken from a Japanese series called Super Sentai, which was then edited in with the American footage to produce an actual episode. The process continues to this day, and Power Rangers has spawned multiple incarnations over the years. Power Rangers in Space, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, Power Rangers Wild Force, you get the idea. In the UK, Power Rangers first began airing exclusively on the satellite TV channel Sky One, not unlike The Simpsons.
British television will never be the same again.
Action has no limit. New episodes on Sky One.
See us and the other Mighty Morphin Power Rangers weekdays on the DJ Cat Show.
Eventually it crossed over in 1994 to the weekday morning talk show GMTV, which also broadcast kids programming.
The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on GMTV.
This is the point where the series really exploded in popularity, even to the point where they'd actually interview the actors on the talk show.
You might not believe this, but there are a few people who've actually never seen Power Rangers. Difficult, I know, but just explain exactly what a Power Ranger is.
Okay, Power Rangers are basically 6 teenagers that morph into superheroes to save the world. And we fight bad guys and a whole bunch of stuff.
But this was all before my time. Power Rangers stopped being shown on GMTV in 1998, and when I was growing up, the show became the flagship series of Fox Kids, which you could only get with the cable TV service.
For hours and hours of turbo power, tune in to Fox Kids.
Power Rangers was the reason I would watch this channel, and I first became obsessed with it in 2001 with the series Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. This was followed by Power Rangers Time Force, which I personally regard as the best series of the show. I was crazy about it. I had all the toys, the video games, everything. When I was 6 years old, Power Rangers was the best. But if I got into the show in the early 2000s, does that mean I was clueless about its origins? Not really, since the funny thing about cable TV of the time is that the 90s and the early 2000s just kind of blended together, mainly thanks to repeats. Fox Kids wouldn't just show the new seasons of Power Rangers, they'd show every season, even if sometimes you had to stay up until 10 o'clock at night just to catch an episode of Power Rangers Turbo. Ooh. So I saw plenty of the original Mighty Morphin series when I was younger, and I even had a couple videotapes of the show, but there was probably no bigger tape than the 1995 theatrical version of the series, Power Rangers the Movie.
Now, tell us a little bit about this film that you're making in Australia. What's it about?
All right, it's just basically the same story. It's 6 teenagers out to save the world, and we have new villains that we have to deal with. And it's on a much larger scale. It's much more exciting and much more spectacular, so...
Big screen, yay!
Big screen.
Well, it'd be nice to see it on a big screen and be able to have popcorn and Coke while you're watching it.
Released in the UK on July 21st, 1995, the movie came out at the height of Power Rangers mania and opened at number 3 at the box office, just under Batman Forever. It went on to gross over £3 million, but being born in 1996, I never saw it on the big screen. I just had the VHS. This is one of those tapes where I didn't have the case. One day when I was about 6, I was at my grandparents' house and I just found it in a drawer somewhere. I have no idea where it came from, but of course I watched it, and it was like being transported back to a mysterious time when Power Rangers was the biggest thing ever. In fact, it's interesting how for the most part, the film is known as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the Movie, but over here, it's just Power Rangers the Movie. For some reason I like that better. It makes it more of an event. Power Rangers, the movie. Maybe it's just me. But how mighty does the movie feel now? Well, let's turn on the power and find out. No VHS is ever complete without its trailers, and the first one is for the original Star Wars trilogy, which I think was my first ever exposure to the franchise.
The epic three-part saga that made motion picture history is coming back to home video, digitally remastered, for sparkling new versions with CD quality sound.
It's kind of strange to look back on this, as I didn't have a clue what Star Wars was about, and this trailer didn't make it any clearer for me. It wasn't until a few years later that I actually got into it.
The Star Wars trilogy will never again be available on home video in this original version. And it's coming to your galaxy one last time, and then it's gone.
Oh, if only that were true. Next, a trailer for the 1994 remake of Miracle on 34th Street.
He is gone.
He thinks you're Santa Claus. I am.
I remember someone brought the DVD of this movie into school for us to watch once, but I haven't seen it since. It just looks like your typical sentimental Christmas movie, almost sickeningly sweet.
I want this man declared insane.
This is about a man who has had something very wrong done to him. I want you to help him.
Together, we're gonna prove that there is a Santa Claus and that you're him.
I'm ready, guys.
Ironically, this movie was written by John Hughes, who also wrote Home Alone, and I think I know which Christmas movie I prefer.
If this court finds that Mr. Kringle is not who he says he is, then I would ask the court to judge which is worse. A lie that draws a smile?
I knew it.
Or a truth that draws a tear?
Now we get a more generic promo for a bunch of family movies by 20th Century Fox, including Baby's Day Out, The Sandlot Kids, yet another different UK title, Big, and Rookie of the Year.
Fun, laughter, and adventure.
I'm a banana.
The strange thing about lumping a bunch of movies into one promo is that, when you're young, it's hard to really concentrate on any of them. To me, this just seemed like a string of mindless insanity created to amuse me for 2 minutes. I couldn't have told you what any of these films were actually about.
With every family feature comes a free child's ticket to Chessington World of Adventures, transporting you to a place where you can flip, fly, and fall through Dr. Chessington's amazing lands.
Wait, you're giving away free theme park tickets with every one of these tapes? Now I'm listening. That pretty much sums up my 6-year-old mind.
So grab some great entertainment now.
The last trailer is for Far From Home, a survival story about a boy who gets stranded on an island.
20th Century Fox presents an extraordinary adventure about a friendship put to the ultimate test. As long as they had one another, they had a chance.
It's basically like a kid version of Castaway, but I remember seeing this trailer for the first time and thinking how horrible it would be to get stuck in the middle of nowhere like that. Back then, I probably thought this was a horror movie or something.
Far From Home.
So let's dig into the movie, which starts off with an opening crawl in space.
Centuries ago, a legendary interdimensional being known as Zordon came to the city of Angel Grove to establish a command center for his never-ending struggle against evil.
Weird, given the Star Wars trailer we saw earlier. But the epic mood quickly changes with a big skydiving scene, where we're introduced to the Power Rangers themselves, and they're just as cheesy as ever.
Come on, we're out of here.
Easy, Rocky.
All right, guys, we're 15 seconds from the drop zone.
Now, if this film had been released today, they probably would have recast the characters with big stars, but here they actually used the same actors from the show at the time. There's Rocky, Billy, Adam, Kimberly, Tommy, Chucky, Phil, Lil, and Aisha. Everyone's here, even Bulk and Skull, the comic relief duo of the group.
That's a lot of air! After you, Skull! What are you, crazy?
It's kind of strange how in hindsight, these two actually have more personality than the main cast. The Rangers themselves are pretty lacking in that department, just high-fiving and spouting catchphrases for the most part, whereas at least Bulk and Skull have some slapstick comedy to fall back on.
Hey, let go of me! I want my mommy!
They're so stupid I can't help but like them. They're almost like American versions of the Chuckle Brothers, and if you're not from the UK, you probably have no idea what I just said. Anywho, the Rangers go skydiving to raise money for the local observatory, which is certainly a nice bit of eye candy. And that sky snowboard thing is still cool. I wanted to do that.
Tommy Oliver, can he make it 6 for 6? Almost to the ground now, can he do it? And he does!
They even go rollerblading afterwards, and now I'm starting to see why this film felt like a trip back in time. Everything is coated in a feel-good 90s vibe. This could almost be an old Pepsi commercial or something.
Here time!
Meanwhile, Bulk and Skull make a bad landing at a construction site, where the workers have just dug up a big giant egg, which of course they treat with extreme caution. But the Rangers get a warning about the danger and teleport back to the command center, which is run by Alpha 5, a robot with a catchphrase that will probably never leave my brain.
Alpha, what's going on?
A massive surge of evil energy is overloading our sensors. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay.
I actually dread to think how many times he says that in the show. And can you believe that Alpha 5's voice is Invader Zim? Never mind. You can tell this movie had a bit of a budget increase though, since the command center has definitely been beefed up from the show. One thing that hasn't changed, however, is Zordon, the Rangers' wise mentor, who just so happens to be a giant floating head. Seems reasonable.
Use extreme caution, Rangers. You are dealing with an evil here that is beyond all imagination.
He warns them about the egg, and the Rangers set off to find it before it hatches. But they're too late, since Rita Repulsa and a gang of misfits have gotten there first.
What do I care about some stupid egg?
This is no ordinary egg.
Well, I say we hard-boil the thing.
I'm with her. I'm hungry.
That's because you're a pig.
Just look at these nutcases. There's Lord Zed, Rita's husband, who became a major villain in the second season of the show, Goldar, who was right there from the beginning, and then there's Mordant, who was created specifically for this movie. Apparently, according to the original script, he was supposed to be Goldar's cousin. The more you know, Lord Zed cracks open the egg, and we're introduced to the main villain of the film, Ivan Ooze, who's basically Freddy Krueger if he was crossed with a can of Vimto.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ooze is back!
Yeah! He's so handsome.
Why, thank you.
As the name would suggest, he's made out of pure ooze, and can morph into just about any shape.
Morphological being? Did it look something like this?
Ew, gross.
He's probably the best thing about this movie, straight from a time when bad guys were allowed to just be as insane and over-the-top as possible.
I'm the galactically feared, globally reviled, universally despised. They call me Ivan Ooze.
Every line of dialogue that comes out of his mouth is some kind of cheesy one-liner.
Woo! Where's my autograph book? The boogeyman is taking over. The boys are back in town.
What? Ivan promises to destroy Zordon in exchange for his freedom, which is when the Rangers arrive. And let me tell you, their one-liners aren't nearly as good.
Well, pack your bags, because we're sending you right back where you came from.
You obviously don't know who you're dealing with, Mr. Raisinhead.
We're the Power Rangers.
Ivan decides to punish them for their poor comebacks by creating an army of weird ooze people who attack the Rangers in a very 90s fight scene.
Welcome to my nightmare!
Welcome to my nightmare. Action boy now! Action girl now! It's a
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed already, this film has quite the soundtrack, ranging from the Red Hot Chili Peppers to the likes of Van Halen. It's crazy. But when the ooze creatures get the upper hand, it's morphing time.
Let's do it, guys! Right. It's morphin' time!
They made the Power Rangers suits a lot more cinematic for this film, though, bizarrely, they originally tried to shoot the movie without any visors or mouthpieces on the helmets, since they thought it would prevent the audience from seeing the Rangers' expressions. But when they saw the finished look, they decided to change their minds. Thank goodness for that. Now in their suits, the Rangers battle the Ooze boys with all kinds of crazy moves, and it is kind of cool how they just splatter whenever they get killed. Unlike the show, they didn't use any stock footage from Super Sentai in the movie, so everything you see is 100% original footage. In fact, it's funny that despite the show being filmed in America, and the stock footage being taken from Japan, this movie was shot in Australia. Power Rangers really doesn't stay still for long, does it?
My sensors tell me the Rangers were too late. Ivan is on his way here.
While the Rangers are fighting, Ivan Ooze squeezes his way into the command center to get revenge on Zordon for imprisoning him thousands of years ago.
You won't get away with this, Ooze.
You robbed me of my prime. I was the supreme ruler of the most foul empire in the universe. And now, it's time to pay the piper.
He destroys the command center and mortally wounds Zordon, causing the Rangers to lose their powers, and despite the amount of action in the show, this is the only time you see the Rangers fight in their suits. That's it, one scene, bit of a letdown. They make it back to the command center, but Zordon is now lying in some kind of emaciated state, slowly dying from Ivan Ooze's attack.
The Power Rangers are no more. Ivan Ooze has won.
I always thought that was kind of freaky, actually. Like in the show, Zordon was always just a giant floating head, but here you actually see him for real. It used to make me think that he lived in the tube, and that he'd die if you let him out. Strange.
There may be a power that can save Zordon.
What power?
It is on the distant planet of Phaedos. It's very dangerous.
So without their powers, the Rangers are forced to travel across the galaxy to find some new ones, before Ivan Ooze can take over the world. Meanwhile, Ivan is busy betraying Rita and Lord Zed by breaking into their evil lair.
I think circumstances force us to choose a new leader. And I pick me.
I guess this is supposed to be the twist of the movie, where normally in the show, Rita would be the main villain, and the monster she uses would just be the hired grunt. But here, Ivan Ooze is the real mastermind, a slight reversal of the usual Power Rangers dynamic.
You either serve me, or you can join these insufferable dingle dogs.
After trapping Rita and Zed in a snow globe, Ivan throws up a bunch of new monsters to find the Rangers. These are the Tengu Warriors, a group of big bird brains who hunt the Rangers down on the planet Phaedos. Cue mindless action scene.
Hang on, Kimberly!
Somebody help me!
It looks like the Rangers are bird food without their powers, but they're saved by a Xena warrior princess called Dulcea, who fends off the birdies and gives the Rangers a very polite welcome to her planet.
Leave Phaedos before it's too late.
Eventually she does get to know them, and trains the Rangers into ninjetti warriors, giving each of them a ferocious signature animal.
I'm a frog.
This is pretty much where the movie descends into more action as the Rangers search for their new powers, so it's actually much more fun to watch Ivan Ooze as he forms his evil plot.
Taking over the world is one thing. Finding good help to run it for you, that's the killer.
You see, in order to dominate the city, Ivan needs to dig up a pair of giant evil robots from under the earth, the Ectomorphicons. Try saying that 5 times fast. So he takes control of an abandoned factory, they were all the rage in the 90s, and uses it to produce his own line of silly putty to sell to unsuspecting kids.
Show it to your parents, show it to your friends. When you've got your ooze, the fun never ends.
This kind of reminds me of Tim Burton's Batman, where the Joker was appearing on TV commercials and working his poisons into everyday items. Whereas here, Ivan Ooze uses his slime to control the minds of parents? If he's selling it to kids, they're obviously more likely to touch the stuff, so shouldn't he be brainwashing them instead? You know, like child slavery? Isn't that a scarier idea? Oh well. I guess it's true the parents can dig up these robots a lot quicker for Ivan, but that still doesn't stop him from making a mockery of them just for fun.
Dance!
What a bunch of goofs. And when the feathery failures swoop in to tell Ivan about their run-in with the Rangers, he reacts like any of us would.
Do you want us to take another whack at it?
How about taking another quack at it?
Somehow this is still more amusing than anything going on with the Rangers, who face off against a bunch of dino skeletons and eventually get their powers back.
Our markers are online. We got the power.
All right.
Hang on, Zordon. We're on our way.
Strangely, the original show also had a similar plotline where the Rangers had to seek out new powers, and it was nothing like this, making this movie non-canon. The Rangers teleport home, Dulcia turns into an owl, for some reason, and it's almost time for the final showdown. But Ivan's slaves have finished digging up his Ectomorphicons, and he decides to give them a nice long retirement.
You will return to the construction site and leap to your doom.
Yeah, leap to your doom.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's family friendly. Just leap off a cliff to your deaths. When the Ectomorphicons, gosh, what a tongue twister, rampage through the city, it's time for the Rangers to call upon their Zords. Now, usually this was the highlight of the show, since the Zord battles were normally done with practical effects like models and miniatures, but here it's CGI, and with the technology still being in its infancy back then, it doesn't come off nearly as well. The Rangers get to work though, while one of the kids of the brainwashed parents tries to rescue them from leaping to their doom.
Ivan Ooze is evil. And if you don't come with me right now, our parents are gonna die.
Huh, apparently this 10-year-old knows how to operate a train. I'm gonna say that makes this movie just a bit unrealistic.
All right, big guy. Lights out for you.
When the Rangers destroy one of Ivan's robots, he isn't happy, and decides to confront the Rangers himself by turning into a lump of CGI and fusing with the last Ectomorphicon. Hopefully it's the last time I have to say that word.
Time for a little sword play!
The Rangers combine their Zords together to form the Megazord, and we get a final battle in outer space.
Have you hugged your Zords today?
Meanwhile, the parents are minutes away from becoming street pizza, but Bulk and Skull do get their moment by helping the kid to operate a giant crane. What are they teaching this boy in school? He splashes the parents back to their senses, while the Rangers figure out Ivan Ooze's ultimate weakness.
Oh no!
Yes, you just saw that. It's actually hard for me to think of any movie where the villain is defeated by kneeing him in the gonads. This film should have won an Oscar for that.
And the Oscar goes to...
So Ivan Ooze is destroyed, but the Rangers are too late to save Zordon, who's gone forever.
Remember what we learned? To those who possess the great power, all things are possible.
But using their new powers, they manage to resurrect him from the dead and restore the command center to normal.
It is good to see you again, too.
It might be a cheat, but it's just straight back to that feel-good vibe, and everyone celebrates with a big fireworks display at the end. I'll admit, it was hard not to get swept up in this as a kid, especially with the music and everything. But we also get a post-credit scene where Goldar is now in charge of things, or so it would seem.
We're in trouble. Something's come along and it's burst our bubble. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Well, that's one way to segue into your hit movie single. This song, Trouble, performed by the short-lived British pop duo Shampoo, actually reached number 11 on the UK singles chart, and even had its own Power Rangers music video to go along with it. These credits are full of pumped up songs actually. Maybe it's just me, but I used to sit and listen to credits music for movies all the time back then. That was like the radio for me as a kid.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Both guys were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but it was with expert timing.
But of course it has to end with Alpha 5 getting his very own theme song. I think that speaks for itself. Phew, so that was Power Rangers the movie. It's definitely still a big trip back in time for me, especially with the feel and all the 90s music. But the middle section with the Rangers searching for their powers really does drag, and the most fun thing is just watching Ivan Ooze goofing off for the whole film. If you like your cheesy fun, or you're a Power Rangers fan, that might make it worth a watch. But for now, it's time to power down. Thanks for watching this video, and look out for more VHS tapes coming soon. Are you enjoying the series? Do you have any thoughts? What tapes would you like to see covered next? Let me know in the comments. Remember, you can vote for upcoming episodes in the community tab, and please like and subscribe to the Back to the Past YouTube channel for more outdated content coming soon.